Welcome back to another episode, guys. Episode 7. We're here today to talk about original versus copy. Everything from parts to brands. So on today's episode, we've got Marwan back with us. Reyes, as always, he's here and ready. Saif is back with us as well. And Junaid.
What's up, guys?
And Dan. I think the right person to start us off would be Marwan.
Oops.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Nice to be here.
Da-da-da.
Miss you guys.
We missed you too.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Let's.
I hope it keeps this way the next.
Let's love each other today. So, hi, I'm Marwan from Rami Automotive, and my opinion on this is, in principle, 90%. 90%.
Wait, I thought you were gonna agree with everything.
I 90% am against copies. Okay, as a principle, I'm 100% against them. Some people spent a lot of time developing products and going through research and development, spending money, hard sweat, and it's a bit annoying that overnight somebody just decides to steal that property and make profit out of it while competing with the main designer. I can say from my experience in the UAE that copies hit very strongly in 2013-14. Mm-hmm. This was the peak. And as Rami, as someone who represents Rami, it was very difficult for us. So we had to be flexible and decide whether we follow the trend or not, knowing that if we follow, it would spoil our reputation, and if we don't, we will fall. So we eventually had to have a meeting with the bigs of the market, the old generation of Jeepers, the old era, which are not here anymore. Like, they have families now driving caravans.
They drive soccer mom vans.
Probably. Yeah. And they gave us full support, and then we've decided that we should sell both, but when it comes to copies, we need to make sure that it's super limited and that the quality is awesome.
So just to specify, when we say copy, we mean a product that is pretty much identical for a cheaper price.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. Now, so getting back to the subject, in theory, I'm definitely against it. When you're in a market where everybody sells them, you need to sell them. But you should be very careful not to ruin your reputation. So within the copies, you will know that there are some things that are good quality, things that are bad quality, things that would ruin your reputation and your relationships with manufacturers, and things that would not affect at all. It's not an easy game to play.
So that's where I'd like to bring in the brand thing, because we have to think about it from a perspective of a consumer who maybe doesn't know the full market and the full range of brands, who's doing what, who's actually copying and who's not.
Okay.
So when you come from it, as a consumer, you'll see maybe, I don't know what you want to buy. You want to buy a bumper, front bumper, right? You'll see maybe 10 different brands, and within that, you'll see maybe 5 different garages selling those 10 different brands. So how do you, as a consumer, understand what's an original and what's a copy? Because the place you're buying it, they're not telling you this stuff most of the time.
Weight plays a big role. If you're talking about bumpers.
In some cases, yes. In some cases, yes, you're right. This gets back to a point that I made, and most of us actually agreed on. Only thing we agreed on in one of our conversations is that stick to reputable shops, people that you trust. If you are buying a copy, the shop selling you that copy needs to tell you, listen, you have 2 options. You can go for a replica, and this is a replica. These are the pros, these are the cons, and this is an original. These are the pros, these are the cons. Everything needs to be transparent. As an end user, I don't believe, as a regular end user, I'm not talking somebody like us that have been in the market for so long, you will not, in many cases, know what is a copy and what is not.
Yeah. Yeah, front bumper, I agree with you. Something like weight is a key indicator.
See,
But there's a whole, so for a front bumper, why I chose the front bumper is there's a whole safety aspect to it, right? It's not just there for aesthetics. Actually, by regulations, by road regulations, your front bumper should be able to absorb impact. And there are
Should
some
have
bumpers.
a weak point engineering.
Essentially, yes, and it should not be so rigid that it destroys the other car. It should have a crumple zone, right? It's to absorb impact.
Like it has two parts of it: the impact to others and to your
yourself,
own
to your own
vehicle.
vehicle.
In terms of the weak point engineering states that, for example, if the bumper, let's say it's too rigid, what will happen is that it will not trigger the airbag to engage, which is an unsafe thing for the driver and the passengers.
Yeah.
And if it's too less, this shouldn't be much of an issue because most of the cases, if you're going for a steel bumper, most probably it's still gonna be harder than the stock plastic or whatever it is. But the point is that weak point engineering has to be considered, and that's why I think that the stronger question is not how do you differentiate. It's why would someone consider to buy a copy? That's the bigger question.
Well,
Because you will go to someone, a vendor that will tell you, I have this, the same one, which is the branded one is like double the price. I'm giving you this for half the price. And it's the same, and it's even better than the original one.
True.
That's a very dangerous statement, because what do you mean by it's better? Despite the fact that, as Marwan said, that the design is already stolen. So you're talking about this ethical part, which is a big problem. And then you go to the part that when you're saying that it's stronger, what do you mean by stronger? And then again, when you're talking about the...
But then again,
when as well the bumper is not properly manufactured, it looks exactly the same. It might look superficially is a good quality product, whatever it is, but then when it comes to a moment of truth where you need to utilize the characteristics of it, let's say on a recovery point, you're stuck or in a situation and someone snatches you, and then that recovery point.
I've seen such situations where the bumper actually is pulled out of the car.
Yeah, there is whether it was that recovery point, I've seen a case where the face of the bumper literally peeled off, and many more situations like that. So I think the bigger part that we have to consider when we're talking about this is that people need to be educated that going for a copy which is half the price is not an investment, because it
depends on the product, what you're looking for. Like, I would agree, front bumper, no, you would never go for a copy version.
So what would you go for a copy of?
Fenders, for example,
based on
those are aesthetics, you're saying?
no, based on, for example,
if you're on aesthetic, you're talking about fenders. The fender is made of a material that manufacturer did not consider bimetallic corrosion. He's putting a screw which is a different type of metal from the bumper itself. Even Linux will not affect, because the moment that screw goes in, whatever layer is there will be peeled off. So by time that probably screws will rust and you'll start having...
When you guys are talking about original versus copies, I'm for the fact for originals, because first the ethical aspect definitely plays a part, and there are jobs in the off-road community that allow them to do these designs, and a lot of research and development goes into it. So they need that funding to support their lifestyle as well. So in an ethical term and investment term, I would always go for originals, regardless of if there is a copy available and it's cheaper or nothing.
Yes,
like
but
that.
you also need to consider the customer's point of view. Like, okay, I agree with Marwan from that concept, but let's look at price-wise, considering the country here and outside. Don't you guys think that the prices here are much higher than, for example, in the States?
No, depends on what and where you buy them from.
Yani, as a customer, sometimes when he wants to build the whole vehicle, he would still consider, like, for example, what we were talking about a while ago, the hood. Honestly, I'm not gonna go pay $1,000 on a hood when I can buy a copy which looks exactly the same, and I can just paint it and it looks exactly the same. There's not a single difference between the
I
original
would
and the
say
novel.
95% the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There are these minor, slight differences which
most
I
people
will
will
consider
accept.
letting go
Me
for
too.
that price
Me too.
difference.
Me too.
Yani me, for example, if I wanna build my whole car and I have a certain budget, I can cut on some costs by getting copy parts which are exactly or 95% similar to the originals.
Yeah, but what part will, other than I'll go along, other than fenders, what part will you go for?
Hoods.
I honestly went for a copy rear bumper.
Rear bumpers is, despite the fact that if someone hits you from the
I
back,
need to talk more about the front bumpers, please.
Front bumper,
Yeah.
100% original.
No, I would go for an original, but I want to clarify something. And you guys, I did say a lot of R&D, but not all the companies in USA go through R&D. I can only name now 2 bumper manufacturers that do proper R&D and crash testing, and this is only American Expedition Vehicles and Mopar. So going for a locally made or a copy or an American made bumper doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be crash tested or not.
like
You've
crash
got
testing,
only-
because they cost a lot, so not everyone does it to get the CAPA
Okay.
certificate.
So-
That we understand, but still, I mean,
So what's the difference? What's the difference between, let's say, some bumpers are made out of sheet metal with, let's say, 2 bends mainly. Okay, what's the difference between and I know a difference why I would go for the original, but tell me, why do you think is it different to buy a sheet metal that is 2 bends from USA compared to buying it from China?
steel grading,
Well, it's about the welds.
welding.
Weld is one point. There you go. There we go.
Made in China.
Made in China. You know, produced.
Oh, this is. I'm
So-
continuing or
Yeah,
stopping to
it's
just.
fine, it's okay.
Okay.
And recovery points.
Yes, okay.
So
of
this
course.
comes back to mainly, I would say, experience of the manufacturer
Yes.
more than anything else.
And this
And-
is what I was going to interrupt you
this-
on. Whatever company, most probably, if we say a name, Warren, how many years have they been in the
Yeah.
industry? So the experience factor has a big role, rather than taking the bumper that they
100%
made
with
and
you.
they send it to someone and just takes a stamp of it.
100% with you. I wish you guys could see the difference in an AEV, American Expedition Vehicles winch plate versus the winch plates that come on the copy bumpers. If you see that difference, you will see how much time and brains AEV put in their design. And you see that this is bomb proof. But this is also a company that stands behind its name and its reputation versus a company that doesn't care and just wants to turn over.
Both
and-
of them do the
Again,
same
we go
job?
back-
Both of them deliver the same job?
No,
No, of course not.
we saw some.
But again, we go back
some
to the
copy
point-
bumpers
No, but I
explode.
Again, we go back to the point that some parts, yes, some parts. No.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Mainly if it's a performance or safety aspect, the part is coming into contact with another vehicle.
I have an original,
cannot.
and I would never change other than an original front bumper. But rear bumper, I would
It's
go-
even the
rims,
rear
for
bumper,
example,
you
you would
expect
never
if
go
there is
for-
any impact that happened from the
Yeah.
rear,
Rear
now,
bumper-
that rear bumper will protect you. If you're using a fragile copy, I don't. The reason why I'm not specifying the make country, because, for example, there is a fact. Let's say I am from Topfire. Everyone laughs, or a lot of people laugh when they hear that, but that is an actual, genuine, original design Chinese company that is certified as well in the US. So, but unfortunately within our region, I don't believe that anyone buys the original stuff.
No, people
Because
consider
they're
made in
pricey.
China as in fake.
Yeah, no, but even
A lot of people consider
there
what
are those
Rice
who
is saying
bringing
here.
it. There are people that are bringing it here, but they are bringing the copy of it. But there is. That's why it's not about the make as much as about the copy. The problem is taking one part, sending it to a workshop, just do me something like it and come back and install it. You have a lot of factors that can affect you as a driver, as the safety of your vehicle, and the safety of your surroundings as well. You're not investing properly if you buy it, because if we're talking about the principle of it's just a piece of metal, fine. If it's just a piece of metal, if you go for an original one which is used, will probably be within the same price, and then it's just a metal piece. So that's a proper investment, because this is properly engineered. The manufacturer have, even if they don't
This is not gonna end today.
the manufacturer, even if they don't have testings and they have the CAPA approvals or the International Insurance whatever association approval, but then they still have the experience to manufacture a proper engineered bumper that will serve you, whether in your off-roading requirements or on-roading requirements. Maybe in off-road there is a different criteria because you're not worried about road safety, but it's still, I mean, most of us when we buy these Jeeps, we use them on-road and off-road or dailies or whatever. So you have to think about that aspect of it. So no, it's not an investment, or it's taking the smart choice of buying the half-price copy part, because you can buy the original one used. You
Not
can,
always.
Not
Very
always. You
hard.
can't
Most
really. It's
cases,
not.
I
It's
mean,
not that much.
very hard.
Yes, and you will do a bit more effort to find it, but most probably you will find something that will be satisfactory to find a
Yeah, but
an original
then
one.
I'm not looking for something just to you know, just for the idea of getting that right, you know, just so that I can be satisfactory, as you said. No, I want something that would first of all look nice. You know, now if I want to go for used, as you said, I'm limited to a certain criteria or to
Whatever's
certain
available.
whatever is there.
Yes.
I have to go for what is there.
Yes.
Then why would I install if I just want to go
And
for
you're
whatever's
talking
there?
from an experience perspective. Like if I'm a newbie building my Jeep and stuff like that, I'm not going to understand the
especially when you're a
R&D.
newbie, you need to be educated properly.
Yeah,
from the
so that's why
beginning. you need
that
to
doesn't
go
happen.
to the right
So that's-
direction from
So
the
that's
beginning.
why what I was coming on.
Yeah,
to
I
is
wish when I was a
basically,
newbie
it
someone
seems-
told me that. I went for all Chinese.
Yeah,
and all
I went for Chinese, and after
copy.
3 years, I've got.
Till now I'm
Original
replacing
bumper.
parts.
I've never
You
seen
didn't?
a copy part
You
that
didn't
is.
go for Chinese.
I had the Chinese one, locally produced.
It's not Chinese.
not
It's
Chinese.
locally
What do you
produced.
mean by Chinese locally produced?
Please elaborate.
We'll have
Please
to-
elaborate. And do not remove this part.
No, I do not want to get
Chinese
into
locally
trouble.
produced.
I mean, it's
Chinese,
No,
let them
There
use
is no R&D for the bumper I had. I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's a brilliant looking bumper. It is strong. Like nothing will happen to my Jeep. I can guarantee you that, because that shit is heavy.
And I've seen so many posts from people that have these kind of bumpers, and they'll send a post and saying, "Oh, I had an accident. My car's fine, not a scratch, but look at the other guy's car."
Yeah.
And they're kind of proud of this. They don't realize that means that you potentially
And this is one
For
of the
lack of a
main
better
reasons why
word,
the
that
RTA
guy.
is not a problem.
but well, RTA not approving them is a totally different thing.
But
Because
Hala, are we only
because-
talking
By the way,
about? Are we talking
just-
about like car parts, or are we talking
Hala,
about
if
off-road?
we get into that
for
part,
example.
RTA does
One of
not
the big
RTA,
original, non-original. Abu
RTA
Jamal.
does not reject generally the steel bumpers. By the way,
What is that?
does not reject in general the steel bumpers.
No, not all.
but to be honest,
But I mean, if
I
you're
wouldn't
talking
even
about the
get
principle of steel, I mean,
I wouldn't even get onto this point because there is one thing about rejecting it at the test, and the second thing about rejecting it when you see it on the road. And all that people do is they change it for the test, and then they put it back off the road. And so it's nothing to do with the test; it's everything to do
Yeah,
with what you're driving on every day. So what I was coming to say is basically we've kind of summarized that there are certain parts that you can maybe go for a copy because it's not anything to do with safety, it's not anything to do with performance, and there's parts like a front bumper, and maybe what we should do is specify that list for everyone who's watching.
Rims.
Is
That is
something
one
you
big
cannot
topic,
go.
and a
Yes.
lot of people have been facing issues with going for copy
rims.
rims.
So what would be good for an end user to do is to put make a table of what are his priorities, and I would
Exactly.
assume everybody's priority is safety,
Exactly.
then
Exactly.
durability, and then function and quality.
Mhm.
Okay, some people wouldn't mind if it's safe and it does the job, but the powder coating is so bad on it that it starts peeling off and rusting after a year. They don't care. But I wouldn't be able to put something that's rusty on my car, but some don't. So every person needs to Do that table.
So I agree with you, but it's difficult maybe to understand which parts are critical. So we both specified today front bumper. As Saif just said, rims, because if the rim's not properly manufactured, it will just break and your tire will come off the rim.
So
So
front
what else?
bumper,
So what
rims,
Shocks,
suspension parts,
suspension kit,
engine parts.
engine parts. Yeah. What else?
Other than fenders, what's there?
Well, we said hood,
Side steps.
fender, hood, side
Copy.
steps.
Yeah, if you want to like things that you could take as a not
Accessory,
necessarily a
look-
copy, like
look
a
accessories, you know,
Chinese
just
or
for
a
the look.
copy. You can go for a hood. You can go for light brackets. You can go for tube
Lights, I would
doors.
always go for original because they do make
Yeah,
a
but
difference.
light-
when
I
they
will
brackets.
agree to that because I've gone through that process.
I've
I
No,
did
he said light
invest.
brackets, not lights.
No, light brackets.
We're speaking about lights
Light
because
brackets.
I went to Dragon Mart, saw those lights. They were like 50 dirhams each. I'm like, give
But they're
me 10 of
useless in the
them.
desert.
Yeah, I went at
Pointless.
night and like I couldn't see
Nothing, you just see
I'm
in front of
stuck.
Yeah, your lights look good during the day
Yeah.
from far.
wow.
Used to.
Used to.
Used to.
Used to.
They're now all original.
They're all branded rigid lights.
Yeah.
Represent.
Okay, so
One more question I have for him specifically, since we're talking about Chinese copies, originals. It makes a difference to the dealership, right? If your Jeep is under warranty and you have genuine parts,
No.
like certified, like
No.
They
don't
don't.
make a
They don't.
As
know.
long as
Here,
you
oh,
go,
no,
as
Here
long as you
now.
go aftermarket,
yeah.
they put a question mark in your wallet.
So if I have Fox shocks with branded
if it's not
springs,
if it's not Mopar, it's aftermarket, and then it doesn't.
If it's not just not Mopar, if you install it outside. Now, are we getting into
respected
dealership?
dealerships
Mhm.
will not look into the brands. At the end of the day, what they care about is if that specific product you change has affected the damaged part on the car directly or indirectly. So let's not go into the dealership thing. But yeah, so no, the dealership will. They don't know.
Dealerships,
So-
we apologize.
Like the managers there obviously know, but when you're talking about a technician working on the car, he wouldn't know.
The next topic then on the on copy versus original is the identical products rebranded. And what I mean by that is they're sold under a local brand name. So the person who's buying it doesn't know necessarily where it's from. And
shots fired.
and certain brands will name their products specifically to deceive where that product is from.
See, this is where you have to go, as Marwan said, you have to go to trusted shops so
Okay.
that you know that
So-
these parts.
Here we're talking about now comparing a product made in China versus a copy.
A product made in China and branded as a local brand's name.
But
or
But
brand
it falls
operated
under
locally.
a copy still.
It's a copy
no,
because
no,
it's-
it is a copy.
how does it fall under copy?
It's a copy because
You have a huge American brands that the biggest two brands in parts for Jeep Wranglers are Rugged Ridge and Smittybilt.
okay
Where are they produced?
in China, but
China.
that's fine. We're talking about
No, I think when
Let me
the
give
topic
you-
you're talking about is basically
Everything you're wearing
is
now
the
is made in
copy
China.
part.
Yeah.
You're talking about someone who.
Let me give you an
Oh,
example. Let me give you an example. There is an ARB compressor
Okay.
that has come into the market,
And
made by a third party, and it's identical. If you look at it and you ignore the brand name, it's an ARB compressor.
That just looks like an ARB
And
compressor.
I've seen that same compressor from 3 different brand names.
That just
locally.
looks like an ARB compressor.
Okay, look. It is. So this is a direct copy to ARB. Okay. Now the people selling it are not the people who copied it. So there's a factory that has copied it, and this factory is doing private labeling or what they call white labeling, I think. Okay.
Yep.
It is their decision. It is the decision of these shops whether they want to sell it or not.
See, but
There are
this
pros.
comes.
There are pros and cons. There are pros and cons.
I think the only pro is that the shops gets an unbelievable
Look,
profit.
we are not here to criticize. We're here to give our opinion, right? Whoever wants to sell this copy, whether it is an ARB compressor copy or not, needs to understand the positives and the negatives. The positive is that he has the margins he wants.
correct.
He is building his brand, and probably most of the customers don't know. It's positive. Negative, probably spoiling relationships with ARB. Probably looking bad towards the community that know about the product.
Giving a bad reputation to ARB.
Look, but it's no, they're not giving a bad reputation.
No,
because
because
there
there
I think
are.
he's giving a bad reputation to himself if it's
ARB
because
is,
issues will
doesn't care.
appear.
Like ARB
No,
is,
because what we've been hearing around, like I don't want to mention anyone or anything, but what was being said all around that I've heard from more than one person that these compressors are made from the same manufacturer of ARB.
Same factory.
Same factory.
Same
This is
factory.
this is what people are hearing.
This is
what
very
people-
wrong.
Yeah,
This is
we know
very
that we do know that it's wrong.
And again, I like whoever wants to say whatever they want. Like, it's their right. We are not here to criticize.
No.
So talk about it from the consumer's perspective, because me, if I was not educated, not an experienced person in this market, I would see that and be like, oh, cool, you know, it looks really good. It looks like a good product,
Okay.
and I'd go and buy it. Or at least some of people who think like me
So,
would go
okay,
and
you
buy
buy
it.
it. So what's bad
Then
about
a
it?
couple of months later, I'll
I-
buy it again.
What's bad about it is
Then
that
a
I'm
couple
going to
of
pay
months
that
later,
much
I'll buy it
money.
again.
I'm following. I'm
No,
not.
no,
I'm
no.
not with
So-
or against.
No, no, yeah, yeah.
I'm a pro ARB.
What's
and
bad
I'm
about it is
amazing
that you're
relationship with
you're
them.
buying something for the same price that you would buy at ARB, and then after a month or
It
two.
could even be cheaper. No,
Let's
it could
say
even be
it's cheaper.
cheaper.
Let's say it's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
So you'll have to
Cheaper.
buy it like 3-4 times.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Right.
I bought a fake compressor when I first started off-roading. Bought a fake compressor. In the first day I bought it, I saw spark inside the compressor.
Okay,
I just threw it in the garbage.
This is a risk.
Exactly.
People
And you
are
never know
taking
how
a risk.
bad it gets. You know, if it's built in, if you fixed it inside your car and it caught fire, this is a safety issue.
It is.
Yeah, we
a
don't
risk.
know, and so
And you never know
my
how long
point
it's
that I
gonna
was
last.
coming to is it might be great, it might be done perfectly, but again, it's coming back to the same point we started the video off, which is there's R&D that goes into a certain product. When it is copied, we're not sure that it's not going to be as good. We're unsure what it is. We're unsure how long it's going to last. We're unsure if it's going to catch fire. We're unsure. There's no certainty.
This is why you should do it through a trusted partner. Whoever you are buying this copy part from, if they respect themselves, which most of the people do respect themselves, they should be offering it. They should be giving you the warranty. They should be giving you the after sales service. If it goes bad, they will replace it. So yeah.
As the saying goes, the rich can afford cheap, but the poor cannot afford cheap, because the rich will, as you said, breaks, buy another one, breaks, another one. But somebody who's limited in their resources cannot divulge in that luxury. So they need to invest in something that is reliable and will last them a longer time.
The Chinese market has doubled the size of the Jeep market and the off-road market, if not tripled.
I agree.
Okay, so it comes with negatives and positives. I believe we should not be black or white,
No,
and this is why we have this discussion.
No.
And I like the fact that you say like, what should we recommend?
So we should be black and white.
We should
What
not
we've
be.
agreed is
We should not be black and white.
We should be black and white for parts where safety matters.
Yes.
And we should not be judging it that it's a copy if it's not a performance part. Maybe
Yeah.
if it's an aesthetic part, like Z-Line brackets, or
I will
WC
always choose the
it could be
Dragon
seat
Ball screen in
covers.
my car because I can download Netflix.
I have a solution for you. I'll discuss it
Entertainment.
with you later.
Entertainment
I
system,
love my
for
11-inch
example.
screen.
No, like for me, like I'm all about aesthetics, right? So unfortunately, the headlights do not come in the amber light ring that I want. So I had to opt out for a replica or a Chinese brand because I wanted that look for my Jeep. But does it help me or does it affect me? No. It's just there for aesthetics. So
Yeah.
I didn't have an option. Like the day a reputed brand like Oracle or something comes out with the option of the halo lights to change colors with RGB, I will put it in my Jeep. But for now, I don't have an option, so I opted for something that was easily available.
Yeah, I think we all agree that as
Well,
far
I
as
think
it
you're
doesn't
still
play with the safety-
underestimating the fact that there are parts that you cannot really consider because aesthetics. And I think we had a very minor sort of discussion on this when about, for example, let's say if you're talking about lights. Now you were saying that the poor cannot afford to keep on buying it, so you're buying a light and it goes, it doesn't work anymore. This is the least of your problems, where it's just didn't work anymore. So thank God that was the issue. But I've witnessed a case where someone had a copy headlight while we're in the middle of the desert. It was night. It wasn't even hot. The moment
Electric
he
shock.
turned on his vehicle, smoke started to come out of this headlight. So imagine what could have happened if that was a more severe case than
But this could be an electrical issue.
Yeah, it could be a
installation.
wiring issue.
Yeah, wiring issue.
inside the item itself.
It's very strange to hear something
Inside.
like that.
I'm not talking about the wiring outside. I'm talking about inside that headlight.
And I see some issues
You're
happen.
talking
Like
about-
I
if
don't
we're
want
talking
I
about-
want to get into products, but I had one of my products that caused fire in my car, and it was genuine, original part that broke, and no one knows why it broke. It just snapped, and it caused fire, and it was genuine, original. These minor issues These minor issues.
I think they're isolated. I think we can't judge and say that it's unless we've found a lot of headlights catching fire. We can't really judge.
Some things are going to happen
basically
whether
the
you like it
summary-
or not, whether it's original or
But
copy.
you have less risk to face any issues when you go for an original part because
And more accountability as well.
and more
Okay.
accountability.
So
That's why we focus on safety.
Yeah.
Like
Anything that messes
I'll
with
give
safety,
you
we
an
don't-
example of someone who had KC lights, and he was running it via the S pod, and the bulbs on his KC lights went bad, and they apparently they have a lifetime warranty for KC lights and stuff. He sent an email that listen, this is the situation with my KC lights. It's gone. The only thing they asked, how did you wire it? And he said, I wired it via an S pod. Next email, please send us your delivery address and we'll be shipping you new bulbs immediately by next week. It's because they knew that the process of installing that light was done right and it was bypassing through a genuine product, a reputed product. So they didn't even question him further anymore. They just
No,
wanted
that's why
to
I was
know.
saying when he says he had a problem, or maybe the person that installed it could have installed the
It wasn't-
wiring in a.
No. If I showed you what snapped, then you would know that it wasn't from installation.
I don't think we need to get into isolated incidents. But basically, the summary is that
Now, yes, it could be from installation. Like any incident, it can be the reason behind it. The root cause could be the installation itself.
the summary is that just think twice. Just when you're going to buy a product, think twice.
Do your research.
Do
Do
your
your
research.
own research. Ask
Ask
around.
around.
Go to
Ask
trusted
us.
sources.
Ask us. Comment
Go
down
to
below.
trusted sources.
Trusted sources.
There's so
Yes,
many
so
reputed
many
people and
trusted
like
sources.
just ask them for guidance and they'll tell you both paths, like cheaper end result, expensive end result. Now you need to decide.
And if
Sometimes
that
buying
person-
cheaper can cost you much more in the long run.
Yeah, and if that person is telling you that something that's cheaper is better, question that person.
No.
Because there's a famous graph where it says you get cheap and fast, then it's shit quality. If you get good quality but fast, then it's like medium. And if you get good quality but slow, then it's like,
Yeah, tell the people who are shipping me my shorts from China that it's been 8 weeks in waiting.
Cool, guys. So we do agree and disagree.
we agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would like to conclude.
Reyes needs to conclude.
With the wink. We need a wink.
Wink. Give us a wink.
So
I'm blushing already.
well, thank you everyone for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And please comment below if you have any questions or you want to share any opinion with us. And see you next time.